walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to
Beyond the Void Horror Podcast.
That's right, we're back. You got like a German accent there.
I know, I am German, so.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like 97%. So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's rare.
Yeah.
But seriously, everybody's a mutt these days.
My dad's 100% German.
Huh. Well, Josh is here with us. Brittany's going to be out for this week, as you already knew. If you already listened to Monday's episode that we put up, that's up now if you want to check it out. But today is Thursday, and we are going to be doing a hot, fresh, sexy new episode for you. Ooh. And we're going to continue with the Stephen King thing, I guess. But yeah, we're going to be doing more Stephen King. We decided that we went violent shit last week, and we thought, well, maybe we should kind of tone it down a little bit, so we decided to watch something a little bit more mainstreamy, and that would be Pet Sematary 1 and 2.
Yay.
Which you've read the book, right?
I have not read the book.
Oh, okay.
I get all my stuff through Audible, and Audible does not have the book.
Really?
Which is kind of shocking. But I went on like Amazon and they only had like cassette tapes.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, I don't own a cassette tape player, so.
Yeah, that's weird, yeah. But anyway. But yeah, guys, so we're going to be talking about Pet Sematary 1 and 2. As I mentioned, Brittany is sick with strep throat, unfortunately, which I told her,
Stay away.
Stay away, you beast.
Don't bring that
you sick monster. But yeah, she thought it'd be best that we not get sick. So
thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, Brittany. But Josh is filling in for us. So is anything new with you? Since we did the It review? Because Josh was on with us for the It review.
Yes, I was.
Which was a lot of fun.
It was awesome. I had so much fun.
Yeah. So, but have you done anything since then, or anything cool?
I'm doing the same thing I did last time. I'm house sitting and
Breathing.
watching a dog.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You extended it.
I extended it.
Hey, money.
Yeah, got to make that green. But not really. No, just working. I've been working a lot since we're taking this trip coming up here.
Okay.
So I've just been working days straight, so I'm just like tired. I'm like,
yeah,
it's almost over.
Well, first of all, I do want to mention that we did actually do a few things this week. I've just been, we were preparing for the trip and everything like that, so it was a lot of work. We're actually recording this a little bit early so that we can have it done before we get back, but we'll have already returned by this time, so you won't even know.
Yeah.
It'll be like a thief in the night.
Just take it.
Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of different movies. I've been watching a lot of TV shows. We've been watching that Leah Remini show about Scientology and the aftermath.
Oh, I saw the article. I read.
Dude, that shit's crazy, yeah. Man. Like, I mean, I want to take it with a grain of salt, but it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
You know, with as much proof as they have, it just seems like this flowing amount of proof that Scientologists are pretty fucking scary.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily that Scientologists are, but the guy in charge of Scientology.
Is that Hubbard?
No, L. Ron Hubbard was the guy who started it.
Oh, okay.
There's another guy that's in charge who's like supposedly like super angry.
Ooh.
But if you guys haven't seen this show, it's a reality TV show, and they kind of like uncover all these different stories from people who have left Scientology. It's really fucking fascinating, and it's like totally like a cult. Like if you've ever seen the show called The Path that was on Hulu, it's very similar in a lot of ways. Only they don't like grow vegetables and weird shit. But yeah, dude, if you get a chance, guys, check that shit out. It's fucking awesome. But other than that, I think it might be time for us to jump into the flesh and potatoes of this week, and that will be
Pet Sematary.
Ooh, dead things, Mikey, dead things.
1 and 2.
So, buckle the fuck up, because we're gonna go riding down to the cemetery. All right, guys, we're back. We're going to go ahead and jump in order with Pet Sematary 1, which came out in 1989. It was actually April 21st. Paramount Pictures put it out. It actually had a budget of $11.5 million, and it was a huge success at the box office. They made $57.5 million on the whole movie worldwide, I believe.
Not bad.
Just opening weekend alone, it made the budget.
Oh, nice.
$12 million it made on opening weekend. So
that's really good.
Huge success. More than I think anybody expected it. You know, everybody was like, I never thought.
That would make a good movie.
Right.
Yeah.
First of all, it was directed by Mary Lambert, who is a huge music video person. She actually got her fame. Well, she became very popular when she did Like a Virgin for Madonna. Yeah. And she also did, she continued on her career doing more music videos other than movies. She did Janet Jackson's Nasty.
Ooh,
Nasty girl. Are you a nasty girl?
Yes, I am.
She also did Urban Legends, Bloody Mary, the movie.
Oh, okay.
And this one is a little weird to me, but she did Mega Python versus Gatoroid.
You cannot go wrong with Mega in front of any animal.
This must have been like a sci-fi movie or something, but...
made for TV, probably.
Surprisingly, this is an original story by Stephen King. Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, really.
But he also did the book back in like 82.
Okay.
He put it on the shelf, for a long fucking time because he just wasn't sure what people would think of it. But we'll get more into that later. But he also wrote the screenplay for this. Part of the stipulancy for him making this or signing off on a big budget picture was that he wanted to have it done in Maine.
Okay.
And he wanted to be the screenplay writer.
Okay.
And because what was happening at the time, I guess, was all of his movies were ending up in Los Angeles.
Oh, so he didn't want to have to go all the way across the country to...
Well, he just didn't like the setting of it in general.
The feel, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Maine's got a better feel than Los Angeles.
Totally. It's what he envisions when he writes.
Yeah.
But the story, first of all, I didn't even go over what the story's about. The story is the Creeds have just moved into a new house in the countryside. Their house is perfect, except for two things. The semi-trailers that roar past the narrow road, and the mysterious cemetery in the woods behind the house for pets. The Creeds' neighbor are reluctant to talk about the cemetery for good reason, too.
Yeah.
Over there's a pet cemetery. Over there,
yeah.
Well, we're going over there.
I love that accent.
I know, dude.
It's so good.
I can't do it perfectly, but Christina laughs when I do it. She hates when I do voices. The producer of this movie was Richard Rubenstein, who was a producer on the new, the old Dawn of the Dead, plus the remake.
Both good movies.
Yep, I like them both. He also did Tales from the Dark Side movie and The Show. He produced a lot of those.
I like
he
those
did
movies too.
Martin, Day of the Dead, Creep Show 1 and 2, and lots of Romero and Stephen King, basically.
Okay.
Lots of that kind of stuff. The cast that we had in this movie was Dale Midkiff. He was kind of a popular 80s kind of actor.
Yeah.
He played Lewis Creed. He was in a movie called Time Tracks, Nightmare Weekend, Love Potion number 9 that came out in the 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
The Crow Salvation, Flight of the Living Dead, and Route 66. I tried to pick some of the more, horror-themed ones.
I love Flight of the Living Dead. That was really good.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. I've had that for a while. I thought it had a different name change, though. It was called Flight something or another, and they wanted it to be more zombie-themed.
Yeah.
So... also, you have Denise Crosby, who we talked about in our Miracle Mile movie. She was in, she plays Rachel Creed. She was in Miracle Mile, like I just said, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Impact, Mortuary, and Dolly Dearest. Also, Fred Gwynne from The Munsters is in it. He plays Judd. Unfortunately, he passed away in 93. But he was famously known for The Munsters. That was probably his pinnacle of
Herman Mustard.
Yeah, every family watched that shit on TV.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Also, he was in My Cousin Vinny, Fatal Attraction as well. So amongst many others, some very old ones that you may not know, but I figured these were kind of within the genre. Also, it stars Brad Greenquist, who plays Pascal. He was in Annabelle Creation, The Cursed, Lost Souls, Stephen King's The Golden Years. He did one episode. He also did an episode in Monsters and the movie The Chair, which was from 88.
What was he in Annabelle?
I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out. He must have played a bit part, or maybe like one of the older, like the dad or something.
Something. I'm trying to remember. I'm like, okay, who was he?
Right, yeah, I couldn't think of it either, man. Also, it stars Miko Hughes, who plays Gage Creed, who's the little boy. He was in Apollo 13. He was also in Wes Craven's The New Nightmare, Spawn, Kindergarten Cop, so big ones there.
Yeah.
Also, it stars Blaze and Bo Berdal, who played Ellie because they were two twins. They were twins, both a minute apart in age. But they used twins because, a lot of the strict laws that, you're only allowed to work with a child on set for like 4 or 5 hours.
There's a limitation. You can't just
push
them 8-hour day, go.
So instead of like trying to shift their schedule around and doubling the cost of their time, they basically just...
All right, tap into a number 2. Go.
Yeah, here you go. And go.
And go.
It's like, but I think it's like 4 or 5 hours. I'm not 100%. Also, Blaze, one of the twins, was known best for the TV show Ghost Rider. Plus, apparently she's a rapper.
All right.
But they were both in a movie called Strong Island Boys. So, I don't know. I haven't seen that. It's an independent film. Plus, Stephen King also does his own cameo in it as a priest or a pastor. I'm not sure which one it was.
He's a priest.
Right. What are your thoughts on this movie, though?
I loved it. I thought it was entertaining. It's a lot of fun, questionable decisions being made throughout the whole movie. I'm just like,
right. Why would you do that?
This? Seriously, what are you thinking? What's wrong with you people? Just a great story. Just cool history, like the ancient Indian burial ground that's involved.
Yeah.
Kind of mumbled there, but...
Did you like the acting in it? Did you think it was okay? Or
I liked Fred Gwynne's acting. He was really good.
Absolutely.
He's always good. And his Boston accent was just phenomenally fun. Just anytime I listen to a Stephen King book and the person's doing the Boston accent, I'm just like, that's so awesome. I love that accent. But yeah, the acting's really good. All the characters are really good. And they're not characters that are like forgettable or ones that you don't really take an interest into. Most of the characters are really good, have good stories and stuff like that, and you're kind of invested in the character.
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you think it's one of the better Stephen King movies? Do you think it's...
Yeah, I'd put it up there as one of the better Stephen King movies. Probably top I was going to say 5, but I go 10 because there's some better, like Green Mile.
Shawshank and
stuff like that, and Misery.
Well, how about horror?
About the horror, I'd put it in the top 5 of the King horror.
I think so. I'm around the same area.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very cool, very good adaptation of Stephen King. You could tell that he was like closely involved. There was a lot of details in from the book translation to the movie. There were a few changes from the book I've heard. I haven't read the book myself, but I have heard that the details in this movie are insane.
Yeah.
Like they did so many different things to try to fit and match it.
Yeah.
I thought the overall tone of the movie was really good. I don't think all the actors were necessarily good, but there was at least two characters or actors who were just like, without them, this movie wouldn't be as good.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, that's Fred Gwynne and Miko Hughes, who plays Gage.
Yeah.
Those two actors, he was a little kid. It just worked out. but he did a really good job.
Yeah.
He doesn't even remember the goddamn movie making it. You know what I mean? He was so fucking young. But Fred Gwynne over fucking...
It works.
Hey there, Lewis. Seems we got ourselves a spot of trouble.
We've got a spot of trouble over here.
Yeah. Might want to come over here and found us a dead cat.
You want a beer?
Yeah. You need a cup?
You need a glass for that?
Oh, good.
Good, yeah.
Like you're a real man.
You're
I
a
get
real
it.
man. You drink it straight out of the bottle.
It does deal with something that I think we all deal with and can relate to, so I think that's what hits the nerve a little bit. We deal with life and the inevitability of our untimely or just death. Yeah. Which is something we all pretty much grow to fear. As we get older, it seems like it probably is you either accept it or you don't, or you start to fear it or whatever. I don't know how I'm going to be or how I feel, but I'm definitely more aware of it.
Yeah.
as I'm older now.
I've accepted it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm going to die. It's
You're
gonna
like,
happen.
light it up, motherfuckers!
When I die, just kick me into the side of the road, let the coyotes have me, I'm dead. Move on.
You're the guy that walks into the blast when the nuclear war happens.
My arms outstretched, just like Jesus pose.
Light it up!
Let's do this thing!
I also feel like this movie, it has the ability, having the ability to be able to shortcut death is kind of it's like an interesting concept because it's like our time with our loved ones is so short anyway.
Yeah.
There's really never enough time that you could spend with something that you care and put so much love into.
Yeah.
So it definitely pulls on the heartstrings for a lot of people, the book as well as the movie.
Yeah.
And I think they do a pretty good job of that in there. But, it's appealing to try to shortcut death, but at what cost? That's kind of the moral of the story here. It's essentially the tale of, it's like a tale or I guess a moral of don't fuck with fate or fate will fuck you.
Yeah.
Essentially. It's loosely based off The Monkey's Paw.
Oh, I saw that a long time ago.
Do you remember that?
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
If you guys, there's actually, it's like a story.
Yeah.
I read it, I remember reading it in it was an early piece that I read. Like early, but it's about a guy who it's like a father and a son, and like the son finds a monkey's paw that if you rub, you get 3 wishes.
Okay,
and you can wish for anything that you want, and they all come true, but they all are twisted somehow.
I'm thinking of the Simpsons episode, the Treehouse of Horror. They did the monkey paw thing.
It's based off that, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
There was I think there was like a wish that he had. He wanted all this money, and so when he wishes for all this money, like thousands of bags of gold fall on him and kill him. So that's an example of why
be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. It may not always be what you think.
Yeah,
which is a perfect story for this. I think this is a really good movie. I really enjoyed watching it. I watched part 2, and we'll get more into that.
God.
I don't want to hate on it, but we've got some interesting views on that, so you'll want to stick around for that.
I think like if you're a parent or something like that, or like animal lover,
right?
It's gonna really tug on your heartstrings because I'm a single.
They cover every base.
Yeah, I'm a single adult male that has no children. I have no pets. So I kind of felt that it really wasn't something that's going to just grab me by the feels and be like, hey, come over here. But I can see somebody that has kids that the stuff that happens is just can be like heart-wrenchingly terrifying and something you probably think about or worry about as a parent or like an animal lover.
There's a lot of different types of death tropes in this movie people deal with. I mean, there's like the character Zelda, who's the old woman, who Denise Crosby plays she was her sister? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was her older sister.
Yeah, like really older.
Yeah, she looked
like 20, 30 years older than her.
She was like 8.
Yeah.
Her daughter or her sister the main character was 8.
That was a part in the movie that I know a lot of people were really freaked out about.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen the movie, guys, I'll try to break this down for you just a little bit to kind of make better sense of it. A family from Chicago moves to Maine, and they're trying to start a new life, have a family, and not worry about the big city life. They just want to relax. And he's a doctor. I forget what she does.
I think she's just a mom. I don't think she had a career or anything.
I thought she did.
If she did, they didn't really show anything about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they came to Maine because he got a position at the teaching school or something. It was a school of medicine type thing.
Okay.
Where he was he
was at the college or whatever.
Yeah, medicine college.
But he was also a doctor.
Yeah, he was a doctor.
On the side too. Yeah. So he helped people out and was always helping. And that's what essentially happens. They move into this old house. They meet the neighbor immediately, who is played by Fred Gwynn. His name is Judd in the movie. So they meet Judd, and Judd's telling him about how busy the road is. He's there's trucks that come by here just pretty regularly. They come here day and night.
And you see that constantly. You just hear the truck going right
Dude,
down
it's
the road.
Scary.
Yeah, I'm build a fence.
Dude, there's a scene in the movie where fucking the dad walks across the street to Judd's, and the truck goes by, and you could tell that he probably did it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Because he was just so not scared of it.
Yeah, he was just
if I saw that barreling down the road, it was like a tanker.
I would have been running.
Yeah, I would have been a little bit off, not near the road at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that
I would just picture
scary.
it in my mind skidding into stuff and then rolling over me and blowing up and killing my family.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes over there. He talks to this guy. I forget, they have a conversation about the Pet Sematary early on. He's like, "What's that path?" And
It's the little girl, the mom. She sees the path. She's like, "Oh, what's that path go to?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll tell you about that later."
yeah, well, that's a good story for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they come over and he comes over and
he
he's
shows him the next day.
Yeah, the next day he's like, "Let's go," and they go on a hiking trip up to the path to the Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, and he says that to the kid. He says to the little girl, because it's his family. It's a father, a mother. They're really young child, and they're like 6 or 8 year old daughter.
She's like,
she's pretty young.
just like 4, 5 or 6, yeah, somewhere.
She's
in
got to
there.
be like 6 or something.
Yeah.
But they go down to this pet cemetery, and he goes in, and he was like, "Hey, Ellie," to the little girl. He's like, "You know what this is? This is a pet cemetery. You know what they do here? It's where the dead talk."
Yeah,
And she's like, "Oh." It's like, that's not something you say to the kid.
Yeah.
And you can see the parents like get a little frustrated with him.
kind of like eyeing out of the corner of their eye. They're like, "What the crap?
Yeah,
are you
don't
telling our
scare
daughter?"
her. Yeah. But I guess they're like, "Oh, well, you're just an old fuck."
Yeah, crazy old coot.
Yeah, he's just an old feller, you know. But anyway, so they talk about the barrier a little bit in there, don't they? Like, don't they point it out?
Yeah, he's like, "What's beyond that?" He's
Oh,
like,
well, you know, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. Just stay here." And
So they have also a cat.
Winston Churchill.
We have Winston Churchill, which is this gray, yellow-eyed cat. And
We call it Church.
yeah, they call it Church. And the beginning of the movie, I also forget that Gage, the little boy, he's like a toddler. He like tries to walk across the road as a truck's coming, and Fred Gwynn picks him up. He's like, "Oh, you don't want to be in the road there, little fella."
Yeah, I think that's how they first meet him.
Right. And they're like, "Oh my God, thank you."
Yeah. Oh my God, we didn't look.
But they've been there for like a week or two or whatever, and the father gets like a call on a guy who's like gotten hit in a car accident.
He was
like
hit by a truck.
Yeah, he was running and he got hit by a truck, which is to further push the fact that people die by these trucks a lot.
Yeah.
So he gets hit by the truck. His head's like exposed, his brain is, and he's on the table, and all of a sudden he has this weird kind of supernatural moment
Yeah.
with the father, who's a doctor, and he's like, "Don't go beyond the threshold," or what did he say?
He first said the soil of man's heart is stonier.
That's right.
Lewis. Don't go beyond the threshold, the barrier or whatever. And he's like, "How do you know my name?" And starts yelling at him because he called him by his first name, and it's the first time he's ever seen
Right.
the father. So he's kind of like freaking out, and he tells him, "Don't go beyond the barrier." And he's like, "What the crap?"
Which sets the whole sort of supernatural element in motion.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just, about a cemetery. This is about, like, a whole thing. Like, this is, like, the spirit world, and all kinds of shit happen.
Yeah, there are ghosts involved in this.
Right. I bet you even, like, the first season of American Horror Story probably pulled a little bit from that.
Yeah.
Because that's a very physical kind of season, if you've ever seen the first season.
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I watched that.
It's been a while for me too, but anyway, so basically it's just kind of weird and kind of off-putting a little bit. He goes to bed that night after this guy dies, and he has a dream about this guy.
Yeah.
Or so he thinks. And this Pascal guy further warns him not to go beyond the threshold. He's like, "I know it's going to be tempting, and I know you're going to want to, Lewis, but trust me.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's only going to end up for you poorly. You just need to listen to me." Fast forward a little bit, the cat gets hit by a truck this time. And that's when he's like, "You got a spot of trouble here on the side of the road, and what are you, a cat?" So he goes over, peels it off the ground.
Yeah, because there was frost and it was stuck to the ground.
Right, which I kind of laughed at a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of...
I made a video on Instagram about it.
Did you?
Yeah. He was like, "So what are you going to do with it?" as he's putting it in the bag. And I was like, "I don't know, maybe put some sticks on its legs, make a cat puppet show or something."
Daughter will never know the difference.
Well, you can see that Fred Gwynn's character, Judd, is chewing back what he wants to say because he knows that the daughter is going to be really upset.
Yeah, because they had that conversation where they were talking about the cat dying.
Right.
And she went to her dad and she was like, "God can't have my cat. It's my cat. God get his own damn cat. It's my cat."
Right.
And just went off on her dad about that. And so Fred Gwynn's character knows that she is really attached because she had brought it up before about the cat dying, and
he couldn't bear letting her know what death is that early.
Something that early as a child.
Right. Of course, he tells him about, well, Dad, this is something behind the threshold I want to show you here. Yeah. We could go bury it, Because they're trying to figure out whether or not they tell the little girl that the dog is dead, or the cat is dead. The dog. The cat is dead, so they go up behind this fucking, what do they call it? A deadfall?
It's like a deadfall, yeah. It's a bunch of trees and stuff that block the path.
Yeah, it's a trees, it's where all these, they kind of live near a logging area, so they cut down a lumber yard, and they cut down trees, and they, all the, leftover debris gets into these piles, and they call them deadfalls. So they climb over this deadfall, which
is really high, too.
Yeah, it's really high, and if you actually look into it and, the history of deadfalls, most people stay the fuck away from them.
Yeah.
Because even animals could die in these things.
You could fall right into the middle of it and can't get out.
Right. They just die.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a source of death in a way. So they climb over death, essentially, and go up to this Indian burial ground called the Micmac Cemetery.
Micmac
Paddywhack. Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Micmac Paddywhack. But it's a real tribe, apparently. They went up there, they buried the cat, and he tells them, he's like, you got to bury your own. That's how the Indians did it.
And that was a long trek, too, just for a cat.
Right.
Because they got the cat in the morning. By the time they got up there to bury it, it was nighttime. And by the time they got back, it was early morning. I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't even worth it.
Well, because the ground, the soil was stonier.
Oh, that's right. It was harder.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Because the first thing he does is Lewis, the dad, and Judd are up there, and he's like, you bury your own, So he starts using a pickaxe, and he hits it on the ground, and it looks like it sparks.
That's
and
right.
It's like rock. So then fast forward hours later, and they've already buried the cat finally.
He was digging through cement.
Right. So he buries the cat, and he tells him, I don't think he tells him what happens.
He doesn't tell him what happens. It doesn't happen till later when he informs them what happens. Because I don't want to keep going.
Yeah.
He tells him about his encounter with his dog.
Right. So yeah, Judd tells him the story because when they bury the cat, he goes to bed that night, wakes up, and the family was going to visit
The family is in Chicago for Thanksgiving.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were in there, and Ellie Cousin's like, is church okay, Daddy?
Yeah, which is so heartbreaking.
I'm just like, oh my God.
So he doesn't tell her. He's like, oh yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen him,
Yeah.
But then after he buries him, he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, he's fine. But there's something wrong about the cat.
Yeah.
So he runs over to Judd's house, and this is when Judd tells him a story when he was a kid and he buried his dog Spot. And went up to the cemetery and buried it, and it came back with blood all over its face.
Yeah, the mom was hanging laundry, and the dog came out. And the dog came through the sheets that were hanging on the laundry thing, and it was just blah, and she's like, "Oh, get your freaking dog out!"
Yeah. And then I guess they had to kill it again, the dog. So, and then he buried it again, but somewhere else, or did he burn it? I don't remember.
I think he said he buried the dog. He killed it, but he buried it in
the pet cemetery. That's right.
Because he said at the beginning, he's like, "This is where my dog Spot's buried here." And blah blah blah.
So Lewis is freaked out about the cat coming back to him, and it's hissing at him. It's not a nice cat at all.
No.
So he goes over to Judd when they have this conversation, and then they sit down, and he's like, the dad says, has anybody ever tried to bury a person up there? And he was like, oh God, Lord, what did he say? Lord, no. Or
yeah, Lord, no.
Lord Jesus, no. And he knocks over his beer, and it's this
party foul. I'm like,
it's a perfectly good waste of beer.
Seriously, dude, it's beer.
Perfectly good waste, a waste of perfectly good beer. That's what I meant to say.
Perfectly good waste of beer.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying.
We're drunk.
One of the most prolific parts of the movie, and one of the more people walked out of the theater when they saw this movie, and a lot of people stopped reading the book when this might happen because it was just so tragic.
Wow.
But with a little boy, they're out having a picnic. He's flying a kite. The world is on the most beautiful day ever, shining down on this little nice home in the middle of
Not a
Maine.
cloud in the sky.
Not a cloud in the sky. It's just beautiful out. And Gage goes walking off again like he did in the beginning, and nobody's paying the fuck attention to him.
The dad turned around and was sitting there laughing at the people at the picnic table. I'm like, would you turn around, you idiot?
So, and I won't go into details because we'll save that for some of our favorite scenes, but kid gets hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy. Like, I was kind of, I don't mean to be like sicko. Like, I don't have kids, so it doesn't bother me as much as it would for somebody that does have kid. Even the guy who played the father had never had kids before, so he had to kind of like envision
something like that.
Like someone that he cared about.
Yeah.
To get in that moment, because he has to feel that way all day long.
Yeah.
You know, but there is some really interesting trivia on this. I don't want to spoil everything for you, but when we get closer to the spoilers, you know, we'll see it. But I guess that most people have probably seen this movie.
Yeah,
not everyone.
It's a classic movie.
It is a classic Stephen King story. It's one of the more popular ones that he had.
Yeah.
Not the most popular, but it is a big one.
It's a big one, yeah.
There's really a lot of trivia, so buckle the fuck up, guys. We'll just kind of shoot through some of these. First of all, the story of Pet Sematary is based off the real events that Stephen King had with his daughter.
His daughter's cat, I think it was?
It was her cat. Literally the almost exact same story that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
The cat goes out, gets hit by a car. She doesn't know how to deal with death. She gets upset, and then they bury her in Pet Sematary, don't they?
I believe so.
Yeah, because like he actually ended up finding a pet cemetery shortly thereafter or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if she buried it there, but she had a cat named Smucky. The name of the town that this whole thing takes place is in Ludlow, Maine, which is a fictitious name. It's based off of King's town he grew up in, New England, named Orrington.
Okay.
Or Orrington. King actually had to have the movie made in Maine. He specifically asked for it because of what we talked about earlier with the whole situation where all his stories were being taken place in Los Angeles. So he was a little irritated with that and made it happen.
Pretty country up there too. Or
It's
landscape or whatever. It's so nice and green, and it's got the colors and stuff. Something
Totally.
You really can't replicate.
It is really nice. A lot of the cast said that they absolutely adored the place, and like they remember very fond times of just like going down to the grocery store, and it was just like a different world for them.
Yeah.
So they pretty much, you know, stayed in there, and I think he still lives in
he still lives in Maine.
Like right there in that town, actually, where this takes place, where they actually shot it.
Yeah.
But it's called Ellsworth, Maine. Eventually, King did find a pet cemetery, and it kind of gave him the fact of his daughter's cat dying in the pet cemetery. Sparks went off in his head, and he just started writing like crazy about it. He did get actually pretty depressed about writing this when he was done.
Okay.
Because it was so dark.
Yeah.
It probably hit him just as strong. And when they were when they finally did go to sell this book, they were using that as a tagline, like, can a book scare Stephen King even?
Oh, wow.
You know, so like people went wild for it, but he put it in the shelf. He was like, fuck it, I don't want to. He put it in a drawer. He didn't want to deal with it. He thought it was too dark for people.
Yeah.
Other friends had told him that it was too dark and that he shouldn't put it out there. And I guess he had issues with his publisher, who he was with at the time. His publisher was like, wouldn't pay him, I guess. And so he was like fighting to get this money from them all the time, and they weren't paying him. So he said, okay, I want to leave, you know. And he's like, I'll give you this book as long as you pay me up front for everything. And the book sold like gangbusters.
Yeah.
It like was hard to get on the shelf.
Yeah.
So this was like his goodbye book to that publisher.
Yeah.
So, which they made out pretty well because, you know.
That was so good.
Right. Definitely the book, though, was very taboo because of the child death in it, as was the movie in a way.
Yeah.
Became a huge success, though. Actually, George Romero almost directed the movie for this, the adaptation.
That would have been pretty crazy.
Isn't it crazy? I don't know if it would have been good or not, because I've seen some bad George Romero flicks.
Yeah. Well, the source material he'd have to work with.
It was interesting, yeah.
It would have been interesting to see what his take would have been, or how he would have done that. And I'm pretty sure him and King are pretty good friends.
They were.
So,
well, George Romero passed away.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Were good friends.
Yeah, they were definitely good friends. They definitely worked on a lot of different stuff because of Creepshow. And, they worked together on those things quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know. It would have been interesting. I guess he was working on another movie at the time.
Oh.
They said Monkey Shines.
Oh, okay.
So that's what he was working on at the time. But instead of him, they got Mary Lambert.
Okay.
Who is this, music video, like,
Madonna
fucking shooting director, and which is pretty cool. Like, they got a female director to do a movie before she actually was able to shoot the movie or get the job essentially as a director. She had to go meet with Stephen King.
I would have been like,
yes. So like they apparently like hit it off like really well. They both have like southerner kind of accents, and like, you know, they like that kind of small town thing. So they hit it off really well, and she got to do it. She said that he would be on the set all the time.
Yeah.
He lived in town, went to the store all the time, and was just a big part of the film. She said that he would drink a lot of Jolt Cola. That he loved Jolt Cola. That was like his thing. It was his crack, I'm sure. That was like an energy drink, you know?
Yeah. That was, what's it, like triple the caffeine? Double
Pretty much. The scene where the dad, and we were talking about the accident with Gage dying.
Yeah.
You see him, the dad run, Dale Midkiff runs towards the child. Mm-hmm. And he said when he belted out that scream, it was from his soul. Like,
nice.
He
had the feels.
Envisioned somebody that he really cared about and had to hang on to that the whole day. And that really kind of puts a perspective about acting, like I never thought about. That if you're like putting yourself in that situation all day, that's kind of a shitty day.
Yeah, it kind of brings your mood down if you're having to do a sad scene or scene where there's anguish or something like that.
It's fucking schizophrenic, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine.
I can understand, like, with like characters that like what's his face, Heath Ledger, put himself in that mindset that it probably took a major toll on him.
Right.
So, yeah, I couldn't be an actor.
Well, and some directors really push their actors hard. Yeah. Like, the new movie that just came out, the Mother movie.
Yeah.
Apparently, Darren Aronofsky pushed Jennifer Lawrence, like, super hard to the point where she was not able to act in 3 movies after that.
Oh, wow.
She turned down 3 roles.
She just needed some me time.
Yeah, she was just like, because if you haven't seen the movie yet, guys, it's not a movie for everyone, 100%. I don't think Mary Lambert didn't push the actors that much. They all kind of worked it was like a very family-oriented thing. For such a dark movie, you know, it's like so family-oriented.
Everybody's happy.
Right.
Hey.
There was also a scene where Fred Gwynn, or Judd, the character Judd, gets bit on the neck by the kid. Mm-hmm. And I won't say how yet.
With his teeth?
But yeah, they were talking about that scene and how they were trying to convince the little kid, Miko Hughes, or Gage, to basically play bite on his neck. They have him play bite on his neck, and he really did bite.
Oh, okay.
But there was like a prosthetic thing on his neck a little bit.
To keep it from going deep.
Yeah. And he didn't really bite, but they were just like, and then they used a doll when they pulled the flesh away from his neck.
Oh, okay. So the kid's not traumatized sitting there going, rah.
Well, it was a little traumatizing for Gage after all anyway, because he actually ended up watching that scene.
Oh, jeez. Kid's like, no.
Yeah. So they had him on set, and they watched him, and he was panicking. The kid got really scared because him and Fred Gwynn got along really well.
Yeah.
And I guess it just like freaked him out. It's like, what the fuck, guys? Like,
watch that on your own time.
Yeah,
Get the kid out of here.
Yeah, like, hey kid, you want to watch this fucked up shit happen right now that you may not even be able to reconcile?
Yeah.
Like, what does a little kid do? Oh, he's tearing his neck open. That's normal.
That's why he doesn't remember making the movie. He blocked it out because he was so traumatized by seeing that scene.
He's many years of therapy have brought it to the surface again so he could relive it and get rid of it.
There you go. That's how you do it.
He's a tortured soul now. Did you know that they actually built a fake house around Judd's house?
Did they?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Because it wasn't an old enough house.
Oh, so they had to make it look old.
Yeah, it was a single-story house that they built up to a second story.
Okay, because Judd's house is 2 stories.
Right. So, and they painted it up. I did not know that.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was really cool.
That is pretty cool.
But they built it up, and at the end, you know, I don't want to spoil it, but they burned the shit out of it. They burned it on top of the other house underneath
really?
it. Yeah.
They got to be careful with that.
They did a really good job, apparently.
Oh, apparently, yeah.
But that's crazy, right? Like, I had no idea.
Thought it was one house.
Movie magic.
Oh.
But they used like a asbestos wall shielding, sort of the firewall protection.
Oh, okay, so it wouldn't get to the other one.
Yeah. So they normally you would put the firewall protection on the inside.
Yeah.
but they did it on the outside so that it wouldn't burn through that way.
Yeah. Which is smart.
Yeah, it was really smart. It was super cool. During the filming of this movie, they had a lot of stars stop by in Maine.
Oh, wow.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
But it was a big event. Like, this was a big thing. They had, like, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came by and hung out on the set a lot.
He was in a Stephen King movie.
Oh, was he?
Yep.
Which one?
The Stand.
Oh, that's right.
He was the bell ringer with the sandwich board on.
Oh, that's right. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, yeah. Then they also had Charlie Sheen. He was, like, drinking tiger's blood.
Was he winning?
Yeah, he was winning, I believe, at that time. I don't know. I'm not 100%. He was probably coked out of his head. Probably doing coke with fucking Stephen King.
Yeah, probably.
Sorry, Steven. I'm not trying to be a dick here.
I love you, Steven.
We all know the story about you and Maximum Overdrive. You were maximizing your overdrive with some cocaine. At least that's the story, anyway. The cat that was in the movie I thought was really cool. I thought they did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
But there were some parts in it that I wasn't too excited about. Like, they had a really well-trained cat. They were all talking about how well-trained this cat was and how it was kind of a ham. But do you remember the scene where they, like, shoot it up with some fucking... When the doctor shoots it up?
Yeah, with the cocktail he made
to kill?
Yeah.
He picks it up, and I don't know if it's just the noises that it was making, but it just lays on the ground like it passes out.
Yeah, it's just laying there. It's like,
and it just didn't feel right. I was like, no. Like, I know it doesn't bother you, but, like, I don't know what it is, but it, like, tripped me out. And in a way, it was just laying on the gravel.
It didn't look dead, or it just...
No, it looked dead. But it
looks
just...
dead.
It was
It's
probably
real.
just knocked out, but I'm, like, thinking to myself, like, there's no way. They must have shot it up with something.
Either that or it's a really good acting cat.
I don't know. It just seems wrong. You know what I mean?
They did have the disclaimer at the end that no animals were harmed during the making of this film.
Well, yeah,
so.
Peter would have had a field day.
Yeah.
They ate cat that night, though.
Oh, that
so
was
surprisingly enough. Not that cat, but...
I heard it was a good feast.
It was a delicious feast. It was a fancy feast.
I was going to say it was a fancy feast.
I'm sorry.
Ringing the dinner bell. Ding, ding, ding.
Come, Steven. The bell's not for the cat. It's for Steven.
Steven.
They just, like, they tap a silver fork on a
Ding,
fucking
ding.
crystal glass. Come get your dinner, Steven.
Dinner time.
Boy, I'm being disrespectful.
We do love you.
I don't know if you guys know who Heather Langenkamp is, right? Heather Langenkamp is from Nightmare on Elm Street, and her boyfriend used to work on movies, and they eventually got married. Well, this is the movie that he asked her to marry her.
Oh, nice.
So in Maine, he didn't even have a diamond ring, so he just bought a diamond and, like, showed it to her and asked her to marry him.
This is going to be on a ring one day.
Yeah, exactly. So he asked her to marry her, and she said yes, but they eventually, I guess, split up. So, but this was their love movie.
I don't know Hollywood gossip and all that stuff.
You know The Housekeeper?
Yeah.
It was played by Susan Blomert. Blomert? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Blomert?
We'll go with that.
Yeah, try that out. See what you guys think. Throw it out there, kick it back. But she actually went to a therapist to try to understand what it's like to be a depressed person that would kill themselves, because in the movie, spoiler alert, she kills herself.
Didn't she have stomach cancer?
She does it by hanging. But yeah, she does have stomach cancer.
Yes. Yeah, but she...
Because he's like, I could take a look at that for you if you want.
She's like, no, it goes away. I'm fine.
It comes and goes like it
Yes.
always does.
The rheumatoid.
Yeah. Yeah, what the fuck? I was thinking that, like, maybe he could give you some antacids.
I
Like,
know.
chill out, lady. Like,
It's not that bad.
he's
just
not going to
some
open
heartburn.
you up.
And let me get my penknife.
He just stabs her in the stomach and just pulls out the cancer.
Guts her like a deer. Let's see what this is. Let's see what's inside.
She starts running. He shoots her.
She tranks her.
He tranks the...
Then he tags her afterwards just to make sure he can find her in the wild.
Gage is, like, helping him move the parts out, you know. I'm sorry. Okay, we're getting carried away. But she actually took it very seriously because she wanted to understand what it was like to be a depressed person that would drive themselves to suicide. And so she really wanted to get into it. And she said that while she was actually doing the scene where she was about to hang herself, which is another scene that people walked out of the theater of.
Oh, really?
and also stopped reading the book about, I guess. I don't know. But in the theater more so. Actually, just in the movie, there was people that walked out because it scared them. Oh, okay. Because it looks real.
It does look very real.
She jumps off the table and she just hangs.
Yeah.
It's,
whoa.
I mean, it's movie magic, but, you know. She said that before she jumped off that table, she would be thinking about her mother.
Oh, wow.
Like she was coming to see her.
Oh, God.
Like, it's kind of dark, right?
It's very dark.
You know, and she said that she would say "mama" in her head, just like over and over, "Mama, I'm coming," like "mama, mama."
I would need therapy after that.
Right? I know. And then she said one of her friends, when the movie came out, this is fucking hilarious. So she had one of her friends go to the theater where they lived to go see the movie, and her friend was like, "You have to go to this theater out here and watch this movie." She's like, "When we got to your part where you hang yourself, a bunch of kids in the theater were like, 'Do it, bitch!'" She laughed about it.
Oh, God.
She thought it was fucking great.
Just
She
hang
said,
yourself.
"Jump, bitch."
Do it. Everybody's doing it. Do it.
Oh, my God. So, but the weird thing, speaking of her being kind of dark, which is cool with me, she actually kept the noose.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she kept the noose
dark.
with the rig that she wore.
Hang that on the wall in the living.
Yeah, I know. Like,
This is a conversation piece right here.
yeah, just put it on the dinner table.
Yeah.
You know?
What's
Oh,
up?
you ladies ready for tea?
Yeah. This is the noose I wore in Pet Sematary and the harness.
Susan, are you okay? Are you having a bad day?
Do we need to talk about this?
Fred Gwynn was actually infatuated with Stephen King on the set because he was on there all the time, and he kept following Stephen King around to the point where it was getting creepy.
Oh, God.
And he would just ask him over and over again, "I really just want to pick your brain. I really just want to pick your brain." I sound like the guy from fucking Scrooged, or what's his name? It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's not in this bank. It's in Bill's house.
Yeah.
Jim's house. Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, is that what his name is?
Jimmy Stewart.
Anyway, so it's just kind of funny that he was kind of like a fanboy of Stephen King.
Yeah.
So, and you would think that Stephen King would have been all about it.
Yeah, being Red Gwyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been like,
It's the Munsters,
It's Herman
right?
Munster,
It's Herman
dude.
Munster, yeah. They also built the Pet Sematary from scratch. So they had boulders come in. They, like, placed down a bunch of earth. They, like, dug up the ground, placed down new earth. They brought in sod and, like, did it all up to make it really nice. Because there was a contrast. There was the Pet Sematary, and then there was the Micmac Cemetery up the hill. And which was near like a gorge or like a stone quarry.
Yeah, it looked like a stone quarry because they were climbing up like sides of rocks that looked like they had been cut.
Right. Cool contrast between the two because the Pet Sematary is more about this innocence about life and death, whereas the one up there was a much darker, scarier.
Very like sharp. I don't know if that's a good word, sharp. And like the Pet Sematary had like brass and it was like soft. It felt soft.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it felt warm like a child.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
that sounds horrible.
warm. Cut that.
Jesus Christ!
Oh,
That is not what I meant, by the way.
I'm leaving.
And things just got really creepy. Anyway, back to the podcast. But yeah, the Pet Sematary, they actually had to get 6 truckloads of those boulders,
Okay.
and there's like 2 boulders left that are left at that place where they shot. Because the house was in a different area. It was like down the street from where the Pet Sematary was. So the path actually led to nowhere.
Okay.
And then when you had to go down the street, like
the...
way down the street, like a mile down the road, and then you would be at the Pet Sematary.
Gotcha.
So they went down and they even show the new place or the way it looks now, and then they talk about the Micmac Cemetery and how it was like an old blueberry field apparently.
Oh, nice.
They brought like a shit ton of rocks.
There were so many rocks on that.
They looked up the Micmac natives, like how their burial techniques were and how they did things with rocks and everything like that. So they made it look like that, and they got that huge crane shot from above that was beautiful of the whole area. They did a really good job.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It looks like some witchcraft type shit.
Yeah, I thought it was like a, what's it called? It looked like a crop circle.
Like a burial ground? I'm just kidding.
It looked like a place you would bury things.
Dead
people,
things?
Dead people.
Yeah, under stone.
Yeah, I'm dumb.
Just kidding. Did you know this movie had 3 different endings?
I did not.
Yeah, there was going to be 3 different endings, and I'll get into that when we get into our spoiler thing, guys. I don't want to spoil that just yet for you. But they did have 3 endings. They were all just similar.
Just a little change.
Just a little different change here and there.
Gage lives.
Do you know there was a scene where they have like a fight in this funeral home
With the father.
But they had like, in order to do the scene where there was like a little kid casket, they had to buy 5 kid caskets, right? So after their shoot at this scene, they had to like wrap everything up out of the church.
Yeah.
So they were like, tell the crew, hey, we need to take these, let's take these off. We got to pack them up and like get them out of here.
Well, don't tell me they grabbed a casket that had a real kid in it.
They grabbed a casket. It wasn't a real kid. It was the dummy that they had in the casket in the movie.
Okay.
And it fell out.
And that probably freaks some people out.
Dude, it scared one of the crew members so bad, this lady, that she booked it. And she ran smack into a pole into her head. Yeah. I thought that was funny.
I would have been dying.
I don't know if I would have run.
I wouldn't have run.
I would have been taken back a bit, but
What's he gonna do? Get up and chase after you?
No, it would have been like if I was in that situation, I'd been like, "Soup's on!" No, I'm just kidding.
Dinner bell, ring it.
Who wants a leg?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
We're ridiculous.
That's pretty ridiculous. Did you have any favorite scenes or?
I loved the cat, especially when they showed it with its eyes. Its eyes were just like freaky creepy. I'm just like, if I saw that cat and its eyes were like that, I would be like, "F you, cat."
That was a really cool scene. Do you know how they did it?
I don't know, shine light in its eyes?
No. It was actually a very, very soft light, like you wouldn't even notice it. When they shoot on these cameras, they use a lens, some sort of glass lens that kind of takes out glare or reflection, and they flipped it the other way.
Okay.
So that the eyes would glow, and it was like a really simple technique.
That sounds easy.
It does sound easy, but it was like, I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, it looked better than some I've seen where they actually like did CGI on the eyes to make it look like it's glowing. And you're just like, oh, that looks dumb.
These are they'd naturally all glow. Yeah, like when you take a picture of a dog
or a cat, it's got that reflection.
You see the like eyes glowing like a fucking demon.
You're like, demon cat, no.
And essentially, I mean, this is kind of like demons in a way, because the things that come back from this burial yard are like demons.
Yeah.
And they even kind of go into the fact that part of the reason that these chain of events happen is all because of Fred Gwynn's character, Judd.
Who is an idiot.
Yeah, but the spirits, these dark spirits, manipulated things to take their kid, to take their cat, to take Judd, all this other shit, so that they would just like continuously try to bury people or things. Yeah. I love the scene where he's like, it's kind of a dual scene, because it was the soil of a man's heart is stony or Lewis, where Pascal says it, and which was a really cool scene. Yeah. And you, of course, are like, what the fuck is he talking about? It is hard to hear him.
Yeah, I had to turn on the closed captioning because I could not understand what he said.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Yeah. I had to listen to it like 2 or 3 times just to make sure. And then Fred Gwynn says it after he has this vision that Pascal's warning him not to go to this thing, go past the threshold and shit. Yeah. Go beyond the fucking deadfall. And he does it anyway. And then he realizes it clicks after he buried his cat. Was it the cat the first time? Yeah.
It was the cat, yeah.
What about you? What else? What's another one?
Well, I love Fred Gwynn's character. Just every time he was talking, I was just enraptured with just his talking. And
He's
the way
perfect.
He was just that good old Maine boy, not bully, but old man that you hear. You like,
he's a good old boy.
Yeah, you like. Stephen King does a really good job with conveying these old time characters who, during the time he wrote these books, it's like the 70s or 80s. So he's taking you back to those times with those characters. And it's just fun to listen to the way they talk and stuff like that. And you're just picturing sitting there talking to this old man, and he's just like, yeah, back in the
Well, we're going over there.
It's over there. You need to go over that hill, son.
Lois, yeah. I fucking love, because I can't help trying to do his voice. I'm sorry.
It's fun. But yeah, I just loved
anything that he was in.
Any scene he was in.
Any particular scene that you thought was like his best that you love?
I did love the scene where he was talking to Ellie in the cemetery.
That is kind of cool.
And he's like, "Oh, they talk," and she gets all freaked out. He's like, "No, it's
not a scary place.
It's not a scary place. This is a good place. It's where the ghosts talk, and you see it on the gravestones and on the monuments and stuff like that, the markers."
Well, I think one of the biggest scenes for me in the entire movie that makes it kind of stand out, child scene.
Gage, yes.
Yeah. So we didn't really spoil this for you guys completely, but we said that he got hit by a truck, so if you don't want to know the details. So he's running out to the street, chasing a kite in this beautiful picnic day. Parents are totally so happy that they could give two fucks where Gage is, apparently.
We're having fun.
He's halfway to the road already. He's probably even more. He's probably 3/4 of the way to the road.
Yeah, he was way far.
And so the dad sees him and chasing after this kite, and the mom's like, "Get Gage! Get Gage!" And he's like running like a military fucking,
Yeah.
like fast as shit, like booking it towards the kid. And I'm sorry. Like, I know people are like, "You're an asshole, dude." Like, but
It's all good.
I was like, "Get the kite! Get the kite!"
Save that kite. That's
I
a
was
nice
like
red kite.
excited. I was like I don't know, like a little boy getting ready to hit by a truck. I was like, wee. It's not that I would want to see that, guys. Okay, is like I don't have kids, so I don't understand the connection on that level. I could never truly understand.
Yeah.
But yes, if somebody that I loved was running out towards the road and was about to get hit, I'd be freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I understand why anybody would think the scene was a little over the top. The cool thing about this, and I always wondered this myself, guys, when they show the truck coming up behind him,
Oh my goodness.
I was like, how the fuck did they do that?
Because the shot pans to like on the street
Where he's in front of the truck.
Yeah, the kid's right in front of the truck. So I don't know if
I know
the
how
truck
they did it.
The truck stopped just right there and have him standing
Nope.
right there. No.
The truck comes barreling down the road, and it's this whole dance between Gage chasing the kite, the family screaming, everybody running. You see the truck driver listening to music, and he's like singing along. He's like really happy. It's like some punk song.
Yeah, it was a punk song.
And then like he's driving down the road, and all of a sudden you see Gage reach down to get the kite, and he looks up at the truck, and you see, and then that's when they zoom the camera into the child's head. So the truck's about to hit it, and then you just see it
Run over him.
and then you see the dad like scream like, no! Like, oh, sorry.
That was loud. Ears are bleeding.
Yeah. It's pretty intense. He does
Yeah.
it like twice, but he said that was a real
Real emotional.
guttural, like dark place that he
Yeah.
put himself in. So kudos to him. Do you have any other scenes that you might enjoy?
Well, there's a quote that when I watched this with my friends, we would say all the time.
What?
I want to play with you.
Daddy.
I want to play with you.
I want to play with you. It's like it's the kid's voice too.
It is so creepy.
Yeah.
It is the creepiest voice ever. And then when he's talking, anytime he says anything, I'm just like, oh, shuddering.
But yeah, no, it is pretty creepy, man.
Yeah.
That's some creepy shit.
I don't know, makeup, and I don't know if it was lighting they put on the kid when you see him was added
Jump
creepy.
out of the attic.
Well, not the jump out of the attic. The jump out of the attic was throwing a doll. But
Yeah, that was funny.
But when they show him walking with the scalpel and he's just like,
I was like, is that a real scalpel?
I doubt it was a real scalpel.
Probably not. It's like
No.
a fake one.
They probably just cut a wooden one and painted it to look metal or something.
I thought that around that same time they show Fred Gwynn's character Judd get cut on the Achilles tendon
God.
on the back of his foot, and that
Yeah.
something about that spot, like even in Evil Dead,
Yeah.
they show where they jab the pencil into their ankle.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That-
Like what the fuck, people? Like just cutting someone's Achilles heel, like.
And it wasn't just like a little nick. That thing was like a good half inch to an inch.
Right,
that he took.
Did you know that was a prosthetic?
Was that a prosthetic?
Yeah,
That-
it looked like they just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I knew it was a prosthetic, but
Well, obviously, we're not like, yeah.
but
we're-
it just
you're gonna cut
looks.
his leg.
What I meant to say is, it looks so real.
It looked really real.
It made me wonder how they did it, and then I saw how they did
It
it.
made me cringe. I was just like,
Yeah.
it's rolling
Ooh,
up into
it
his
makes
leg.
me ball up my hands like in a fist, like no,
It hurts us.
Daddy, no.
And then we cut his mouth. I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, and then he bites his throat.
Yeah.
Fucking that fucking shit's like crazy, man.
Little demon baby.
Oh, well, my favorite thing also is when he sticks the needle in Gage's neck.
No.
And the acting performance of Miko
was really good.
was really good, man. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, no fair, Daddy.
Yeah.
No fair. And then he tripped.
And he fell down.
And he fell and hit his head for real.
Oh, did he really hit his
Like,
head?
I think they didn't talk about it, but I guess he did actually trip and fall back into the ladder and hit his head on the wall.
Oh, wow.
And then they just,
Kept it.
they light the whole fucking place up on fire.
Burn it.
Burn the fucking little fecker.
Yeah.
But do you have any end thoughts on this, like in particular? And then we'll just jump into the second one.
It was just fun.
Yeah?
Once they just couldn't figure out what Judd's... I know his motivation was he didn't want to see Ellie sad about the cat, and he knew that she loved the cat so much and stuff.
Right.
But he knew what was going to happen because he saw it twice. He saw it with his dog.
And then the human.
Yeah, they buried that guy that came back from the war that died or that was dead from the war that they brought the body back. He saw what happens. He knows that.
Yeah, how irresponsible of that old fuck.
What a jerk. I'm
He's,
like,
you know what it is?
seriously.
He got old and he got bitter and he fucking didn't care if the family fucking died because they were younger than he was. And this is the problem with the world today, guys. No, I'm kidding.
Kids these days and
motherfucker. Old people are taking over the world. Take their teeth. Take their candy.
listening to their rock and roll music.
I think the moral of the story pretty much is don't move your family into a house by a busy road. And if you do, don't listen to your wily fucking old bitter neighbor.
He's an old codger.
And for the love of fucking God, guys, do not go past the place where the dead walk.
No.
The barrier was not meant to be crossed. The ground beyond is sour. Get it through your fucking head, people.
God put that there for a reason. I don't think you should move it.
Well, I mean, if you want to go past the threshold, it should be for a sequel.
Yeah.
I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Which we'll talk about the sequel here in just a second. So I didn't get to mention the 3 different endings for this movie. The original ending, guys, if you don't want to hear this, you might not want to shut off. But if you do, that the dad buries his wife because Gage kills his mom and hangs her. Somehow he drags her up the fucking...
He got Superman strength when he came back.
Well, he's a spirit. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thinks, he's a demon. So who fucking knows? Anyway, so at the end, he buries her and she comes back and stabs him in the back after he makes out with her and her eyes dripping gore.
And I threw up.
Yeah, that was disgusting. He was like, man, it was really hard to do that scene.
I can imagine. I'd be like, nah.
So that's the original ending. She stabs him in the back. She grabs a butcher knife off the table and stabs him. Well, there was 2 other endings. Ellie calls as the mom comes home and she answers the phone and talks normal. Like everything's okay. And she tells her daughter everything is fine and then smiles and then it goes to black.
Oh, that's kind of a creepy ending right there.
Yeah, that was the original one I think that they were going to use.
Okay.
But they went back and had her come back out to reshoot.
Okay.
Because they did the final ending.
The final ending where he stabs.
Second one that they had tossed around was that the mom extends her hand on the shoulder of the dad at the end.
Okay.
And Lewis screams as it goes to black.
I think I would have liked the phone one.
I think kind of like that, yeah. But I do like the they said that they needed a little more oomph.
Yeah.
For the ending.
I wouldn't mind either one. I like the original ending that they chose, but that second one would have been pretty cool. Just
right.
Her talking on the phone to Ellie and smiling and going to black.
Yeah. I still liked the ending. I mean, either way. Yeah. But yeah, I think it probably could have been pretty cool. I think they just wanted to make it more graphic so it just stuck in your memory.
Yeah.
Kind of is the just desserts of the situation, too.
Don't deal with the dead.
Now, there's a question I wanted to ask you and see what your thoughts are. I don't want to get into too much detail, but just kind of briefly go over whether or not you would be okay with this. But Andy Muschietti, who just did the remake or reboot of It and is going to be doing a chapter 2 of It, is salivating at the mouth to want to do a Pet Sematary remake or reboot. How do you feel about this? Should they or should they not touch it? Would you be okay with it? Where did they touch you on the doll?
They touched me below in the bikini area, the bathing suit area.
Can you show me right here? Can you
yeah,
show me
hold
the
on.
exact...
Let me stand up.
No, stop it. No.
I would actually be okay with that.
Yeah?
I feel it's been a long enough time. It's not one of these movies that they're constantly redoing and redoing. I think a maybe bigger budget adaptation could be really, really good.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with it. I'm sure there's a bunch of people listening right now probably clenching their fists
Shaking
about it, just like they were with It, and there are some people that saw the new It movie and didn't like it, and that's totally fine.
Jerk.
But if he did, you should be okay with the fact that he's going to be doing a Pet Sematary movie because the It movie was pretty phenomenal.
It was amazing.
And I would really like to see his vision of this
story.
world. Although, in the new It movie, the well house...
The Neighborhood Street House?
really bugged me.
It wasn't creepy.
So, I just kind of wonder if it didn't have, consistency.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that they do... I'm sure that the Pet Sematary would be beyond amazing. It would look phenomenal.
Yeah.
It'd probably be all these thickets grew up around it and this bird cage sort of thing, and I can picture light coming through
Just
and
barely coming through, just beams here
Right.
and there, moats and
I just wonder what it
shadows.
would be like. I mean, if they really need to do a remake, I'm not against it necessarily, but how do you make it better?
Just modernize it would make it better.
Sure, but you don't have Fred Gwynn and you don't have Gage. Those are your pitfalls.
I got a solution.
What?
Dig up Fred Gwynn, put him in the Pet Sematary.
We do not go beyond the threshold. Okay, Josh, we've been
talked
there.
about this.
Get it through your fucking head.
I'm a little hard-headed.
No, but seriously, how do you replace Fred Gwynn, and how do you replace... More importantly, this is going to be the hardest task for them when they do this movie, is who are they going to have play the kid?
They replaced Tim Curry.
Yeah, but kids are different, man.
Well,
they got lucky with Gage.
I'm talking about Fred Gwynn.
Well,
you can find an iconic older character.
Fair point there, but as far as the kid goes, they're going to have a fucking hell of a time.
They need to just find a creepy kid, and
they're going to have to go through thousands of kids, literally thousands of kids.
That's going to be a casting call.
It's going to be crazy.
Make it a female. That'd be creepy.
Right. They'd probably be older kid too, huh?
They probably would make them older, little bit older.
Oh, don't do. See, this is now. See, now we're tearing it apart. And it's going to make it
it's
bad.
already ripped apart.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't mean to compare this because it's not the same thing. But the Poltergeist remake, the girl in it was stupid, and I didn't like her. She was not Carol Ann.
Yeah.
How are you going to replace Gage? I think that's the biggest hole that they're going to have to fill.
That is true with the Poltergeist. You cannot replace Carrie Ann. She was so...
She was haunting and weird, and
she was just so awesome.
I'm not saying that she's the best actor, but just
her
I don't know.
presence in that movie was so good.
Right,
Just
That's why I'm saying Gage and Fred Gwynn are the biggest parts of Pet Sematary. Without them, that movie would not have been a success. I don't know how they're going to do it.
I'm guessing it would probably be difficult if they did decide to do it.
What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments below. Are you for, against, wait until you see it? What do you think? But now we're going to go ahead and move on to Pet Sematary 2.
Whoa.
Which I don't hate. I didn't mind seeing this, but we'll get into that in a little bit here. Pet Sematary 2 came out in 1992. It was actually August 28th that it came out. It had a budget of about $8 million estimated, and it made $17.1 million at the box office, which is not so good. It made its money back, but it didn't make a third one, so...
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with it, and if Andy Muschietti gets a fucking sequel to Pet Sematary 2, that'd be kind of interesting. Because that would get ramped up a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, the story is the ancient Indian cemetery with the power to raise the dead returns and influences the lives of new residents. The tagline of this movie is "Raise some hell." And this is during a time when grunge and alternative music was becoming very popular.
Yeah.
So, being that Mary Lambert came back to direct this movie just like she did the first one, of course she had her finger on the pulse of music and was trying to find music that she would put in this movie with some fair to not so good choices.
Yeah.
It was written by Richard Alton this time, so Stephen King did not do the screenplay for this. He was the writer for Lionheart, Little Nemo cartoon from 1989. He did Journey to the Mysterious Island with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Missed that one.
The producer for the film is Ralph Singleton, who also produced Graveyard Shift, Another 48 Hours, Leap of Faith, Last Man Standing, and Trailer Park of Terror, plus The Mill.
Okay.
So some of the cast this time was a little more edgier this time. It's a little more updated. It's like fast forward 3 years later and all of a sudden the whole tone changes completely. We have Edward Furlong, who had been in the movie Terminator 2. He plays Jeff Matthews, who's the son, the main star of this movie. But he was in Terminator 2 during the time the first one came out.
Okay.
So the first Pet Sematary came out.
Okay.
And then he was also in Brain Scan. He was also in the remake of Night of the Demons and a few others, but those are just the horror ones. Also, it stars Anthony Edwards, who plays Chase Matthews, who's the father of Jeff. He was also in a movie we just talked about here recently called Miracle Mile. He was also Goose in Top Gun and Zodiac. He was also in that movie and quite a few others. Clancy Brown plays the scary stepdad named Gus. He was also in Shawshank Redemption, Starship Troopers, new Netflix movie called Little Evil. He was in Highlander. He also did a ton of cartoon voice acting and video game voice acting as well. Yeah. Also, it starred Jared Rushton, who plays Clyde the Bully. He was in Tom Hanks' Big. He was the best friend of Tom Hanks as a kid.
As a kid, yeah.
Yeah. He was also in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Lady in White. Also stars Darlene Fluegel as Jeff's mom, who's like an actress. She was in Battle Beyond the Stars, Tough Guys, Running Scared, Scanner Cop, Dark Man 3, which is horrendous.
I can imagine.
Although I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe we should do those. Also, it stars Jason McGuire. He was Drew Buddy. Forrest, he was in Forrest Gump. He was also picked on in this movie as kind of like a victim of bullying.
Yeah.
But then he also played a bully in the movie called Leap of Faith with Steve Martin.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting contrast there. What are your thoughts on this one, Josh?
Oh, my God.
Divulge everything.
Everything?
No, just tell us what you think, like generally.
I thought the story was kind of terrible.
Horrible. Why? Why do you feel it is horrible?
There were some changes they made to the aspect of the
mythos or whatever.
How the Pet Sematary worked.
Really? Oh, well, there was one that I caught.
There was one that I caught. Well,
kind of bothered me. You bury your own.
Well, you bury your own, and then when they come back, they still maintain their personality.
Well, it seemed like the closer to death that they were, like how soon it was that they died, made an impact.
Well, that's the thing with the mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that
part did bother me too.
So that's on me.
The movie does tend to jump the shark towards the end.
Oh my goodness, it was ridiculous. The bullying aspect, it was your typical bullying thing. New kid comes to town and is bullied. I'm just like, he just got there. Seriously, why is everybody a jerk to the new kid?
Right.
Can you just be nice to him until you get to know him and figure out that if he is a douche?
Josh, I don't think you're going to change Hollywood tropes overnight.
I'm petitioning.
Sorry to tell you.
Will you sign my petition I got here?
I'll be your first signature.
My only signature.
Here, and I'll put it in the file for good keeping and set it on fire.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that the shredder bin over there behind you?
But go on, I'm sorry.
I don't know. The story was just so weak. Just everything about it was just so weak. And I was just like, oh, this really doesn't have anything with the characters I feel. Like with the first one. The first one, I felt for the father and the family because they lost a child.
Right.
This one, I was just like, yeah, I don't care because just the time between the time the first death happens and then all the events that start to make it go crazy it just seemed like it was too long a time. So it just kind of like, I don't know, I just didn't care. I was just like, yeah, you guys are whatever, don't care.
The characters are pretty weak to you.
Oh, they are all weak.
I think you're right, though. Whereas the first movie kind of preys on your heart a little bit, and has very unique, classic kind of characters that you love and endear and enjoy. The like quirky little sweet things that they did in the first one are all gone now.
Yeah.
This is a completely new film. It's almost like, hey, what do we do? We did little kids. Let's do teenagers this time. It's a natural progression for a sequel. Totally makes sense. There was some good choices they made, some bad choices, I think. The body count jumps like to 11 this time.
That was ridiculous.
So there's a lot more in this one. Definitely the characters are not as strong as the first, but the stepdad guy, Gus, is pretty great in it. I enjoyed his performance.
Yeah.
It does further the story the way that you would kind of expect, like I said, for a sequel. And it has some funny parts that were kind of, made me laugh a little bit. They're like dark humor.
Dark humor stuff.
Right. They prey on animals a lot more in this one, I think. It's not as, like, caring.
Oh.
It makes you worried for animals quite a little bit in this one.
I know the scene you're talking about.
There's several, actually, but that one, there was one that really pissed me off with the cat.
Yeah.
That bothered me. I was like, oh, it was like I was on the edge of my seat, but I'm sure most people were like, yeah, whatever, it's a fucking cat. I'm all like, don't kill the cat. Please don't kill the cat.
I love the kitty.
I don't even have a cat. What's up, Murray? My dog's in here. He's all like scared.
He's like,
because
why
I'm
is he
yelling
at me? I'm not Cat. My name's Murray.
It's like, I heard you talking about animals. I was like, I'm the best one. And then you start yelling, dude.
Let me get my headphones on. I can talk about this.
Edward Furlong in it is not the best performance that he's done.
No.
He's much better in Terminator 2 and Brain Scan, for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, he's really good in Brain Scan compared to this. Like, this is garbage. He's just a monotone fucking...
Phoned in his...
Yeah, he's a very phoned in. He's got the look, you know. He's kind of got the cool guy look.
His hair all combed over his face, kind of emo looking.
Kind of the bad boy a little bit,
Yeah.
but you know, he plays kind of an innocent one in this one, which didn't make sense to me.
I didn't buy it.
His character in Brain Scan seems more like his personality.
Yeah.
More in line with who he is. Because he was kind of like a grunge kid.
Yeah, like
during those days.
Yeah, like in Terminator, you had the Guns N' Roses soundtrack playing while you're...
Right.
So it's kind of like that.
Some of the music, though, speaking of which, in this, they had some cool songs. Like they had the L7 Shit List song, which was in Natural Born Killers. You make my shit list. It was pretty cool.
I saw them in concert.
It's very grunge themed, like I said, but the song that they use in the sad parts really annoyed the shit out of me.
Was it that one?
It was just, I don't even know, and I'm not trying to pick on the band, like, I'm really sorry. It really had nothing to do with the quality of the music. It just didn't fit. It was like they were trying to it was like Mary Lambert wanted to make a music video of these sad moments. And they played this fucking stereotypical fucking track, and I was just like, why don't you just put some violins in? Or, you know, some mood music, you know? Like, everything doesn't have to be a goddamn fucking, goddamn music video, you know? Like, and I'm not trying to sound like a dick. Like, she's good at it, so it makes sense that she would do it in her movie.
She knows the craft of music videos
right.
and stuff
It's
like that.
natural to her. It makes sense because she sees movies, she hears music and thinks of movies. So I'm not trying to downplay her, but just that song in particular just did not fit this. Pissed me off.
Was it that Crucify Me Like Jesus Christ and Kill Me Like JFK song?
No, it was like, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone, or some shit like that. I was like, God.
I probably
and then
zoned that out.
They like played it in a part where it's like, it's totally inappropriate. It doesn't even make any goddamn sense. Like they do it 2 times in sad parts and then they bring it back again and it's like a happy kind of moment.
Which emotion am I supposed to be feeling with this song right now?
Right. And then, of course, towards the end of this movie, and I'm not going to spoil this to you yet, but it just gets so fucking full of itself. Like it's almost like 2 different writers wrote it.
Yeah.
It jumps. It like the car's driving down the road. It's staying in its lane. It's not beating any of the other cars in the race for a good movie. But it's staying on the fucking road, and it's doing a good job, and then all of a sudden, dude falls asleep at the wheel and fucking careens into the fucking guardrail, goes darting into a parking lot, fucking smashes into a gas station, and it explodes into a glorious fucking hellhole of fucking shit.
Fireball, and everybody's running around on fire.
Dude, it's horrible. Like, the end is so bad. Like, it pissed me off.
And that's like what I was talking about, because they totally took what Pet Sematary, the original one, established and made it something completely different that just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was like good sex for a little. It was like decent sex, and then all of a sudden, like someone's head turns towards you like a wolf head.
that's one of my. It's one of my notes was boob wolf head.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking retarded.
I was like, okay, he's having a dream. All of a sudden, he takes off her shirt, boobs. I'm like, all right, boobs.
But let's be honest, we've all had the wolf head sex dream, right?
Mine is more of an oxen, but
Mine's a turtle head.
Mine's a turtle.
It's just like there's no head, and then all of a sudden it just pops out like a turtle.
Turtle.
I don't know. I just there's some scenes in this movie that we'll talk about in a little bit. We don't want to get into it too much. Essentially, this story, guys, is about a young boy who's moved from another town because his mother was an actress, a famous actress for horror movies, and she dies on set brutally by electrocution.
Yeah.
Her and her ex-husband, who is Jeff's dad, Mr. Matthews, who also is a veterinarian, he's trying to get them to hook up in the very beginning of the movie before she gets electrocuted to death, and then he sees her get electrocuted to death. The dad now has full custody of the child now, decides to go move into the same town
same areas
that the Creeds lived, and all this crazy shit happened.
And the kid is keeping all the mom's clothes and won't let go of her stuff.
Right.
Which I was just like, why are you lugging around women's clothes? It's you and your dad.
Right.
Get rid of it, dude.
Some of his acting moments, I don't think he really came to fruition at, or they just didn't. Maybe the shots that she took, she didn't realize he had more potential or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, because
It was.
I don't.
God, it was so just like, oh my God.
Anyway, so they move to this town. He befriends, he runs into the police officer who has a son named Drew. The police officer is the stepdad of Drew. Drew and Jeff become good friends, so Edward Furlong and this other guy. And then his father is this police officer who's kind of a dickhead, and you find that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Who kind of picks on his stepson.
Yeah, he kind of wants to keep him in line, and
he wants to enforce rules on him because that's all he knows. For whatever reason, he gets some sick kick out of it.
No watching TV at dinner time. Turn it off.
Yeah, he's trying to father him the way he was fathered, but it's completely different. Why the fuck did the mom stick around for that kind of shit anyway?
Yeah, the guy's a complete.
He totally fucking picks on this kid in front of her,
and she's like, I'm making dinner.
Yeah. Well, the sex is good.
Yep.
Sorry, honey.
Sorry, you got to deal with this.
Is he hitting you again? Well, the sex is good.
He's hung like a horse. Yeah. I can't help you.
He fucks me. He guts me like a turkey. Sorry. But anyway, so they become friends. They're kind of both outcasts because he's the new kid and he's the kid that gets picked on, the Drew kid.
He's kind of a fat kid.
Yeah, he's like a fat kid. He kind of reminds me of a lot of other Stephen King stories, where there's the bigger kid, in It or something.
Yeah, he's a hefty kid.
Yeah, and so they become friends. One of the Drew kid has a dog named Zowie, who's this beautiful white wolf husky mix. Yeah, it has perfectly crisp blue eyes. It's like a Malamute husky, or I don't know if it's Malamute. It's it looks like a wolf.
Yeah, it's there are some scenes where I'm like, that dog looks cool, and then there's some scenes I'm like, is that a
scary?
Yeah.
Well, they needed a dog that could transfer between the two.
Yeah.
So this dog has a habit of jumping up on Gus's, his stepfather's, rabbit pens and killing the rabbits or something. So after a while, the Gus dad gets pissed because the rabbits all ganged up on him or something like that, and he scratched his nose up. So they take the dog to Jeff's dad's vet center as he's cleaning it up, and he looks at him and tends to him. Then the dog gets back up after he puts an electric fence around the goddamn fucking rabbit cage, which I was like, aren't the rabbits gonna shock themselves?
I'm waiting for the rabbit to jump into the cage and be like, Gah!
Yeah, there was 15 rabbits in this fucking cage, and they're all barbed wire, not barbed wire, but the fucking chicken wire.
Yeah. And it's not not like a big cage either. It looked very tiny for all the rabbits that he had enclosed in there. I'm like, they're hopping on top of each other.
Right. So in the middle of the night, the fucking dog jumps up, of course, after he gets fixed, because, of course, Gus doesn't let the dog stay in the house.
Yeah,
because it's Gus's weird shit.
Yeah.
And it's he's like, please, stepdad, can you just till he heals? And he's like, absolutely not. Dog goes outside. Then, of course, the dog jumps up on the fucking rabbits. Well, wouldn't you think that would be the easiest fix?
Yeah.
So anyway, so the dog goes out there, jumps on the fence, figures out how to get to the cage, and the electricity shorts out. So then Gus hears this in the middle of the night, grabs his gun, and kills the dog in front of the fucking stepson.
Yeah, he shoots it, and he finds it in the forest, and...
Oh, yeah, he doesn't kill it right away. It yelps, and then he finds it under a tree, right?
Yeah, he finds it on a tree and picks it up and cradles it until it dies,
The stepson, Drew.
Yeah, Drew. And holds it until it dies, I guess.
Yeah, and then he's like surprisingly okay with carrying a dead dog around that's probably like 50 pounds. I couldn't carry this dog around. Like, how the fuck is he doing it?
He's wearing it like a stole, like Cruella de Vil or something like that. I'm like,
He put a rope around his neck and was pretending like it was a fake horsey.
put some rocking things on the legs.
So Drew tells his new buddy Jeff, who is played by Edward Furlong, and they go to bury this place because earlier in the movie you find out that he has a cat because they find kittens at his dad's vet place, Jeff's character. And he keeps one of them, takes them to school, and one of the bullies who picks on Drew and starts picking on him, and they kind of bond over. They take it to the Pet Sematary and put it in a bird cage, and he gets it. It's this huge race scene.
Yeah, he grabs the cat and takes off on he has like a kind of like a motorbike, and so they're chasing him on his stupid bicycle.
Yeah, all the bikes and like a motorbike. Yeah.
Yeah. So he finally catches up to him, and he like kind of kicks the crap out of Ed Furlong's character.
Right. Well, he punches the bully in the face.
Yeah. So he gets his licks in, but then the bully kind of.
But this is the important part is that they show him the cemetery and he realizes where it is, and they have a conversation between him and Drew about the cemetery again. He was like, let's bury him in the cemetery, and he was like, no, not here, over there, up here. And so they go to the burial, the Indian Micmac or the Native American Micmac cemetery, and fucking bury the dog. And he's like, you got to bury your own, so don't help me.
Yeah.
And they bury the dog. Dog comes back.
Demon dog.
And it's a demon dog. The stepdad felt bad for the kid a little bit because he shot him.
Yeah.
And when the dog comes back that night, he was like, what the fuck are you lying to me with this sap story, you piece of shit?
And the dog's like covered in dirt and blood and just, I'm like, how do you not realize this dog is not right?
And its eyes are fucking glowing?
Yeah, his eyes are glowing in the dark. How do you not realize that this dog is not the regular dog?
Wouldn't you be a little weirded out if your dog came back from the dead and you brought it into your room, bedroom with you?
I'd be like, you sleep over there or not even in the house? I would be freaked out. I'm like, you were dead. And they're like talking. They're like, are you sure it was dead? It's like, I carried it around for like a day and a half. I'm sure it's dead.
Right.
So I couldn't deal with a dead animal that came back to life. I'm like, all right, it's a zombie, kill it.
Right. I would be a little nervous about it. I don't know if I would sleep with it in the room.
No.
So this is right before Halloween. Drew wants to go out for Halloween. Of course, Gus says that he can't, but Gus is at work, so his mom tells him he can go out to this party at the Pet Sematary to go hang out with his friends, and they, there's drinking and smoking and cigarette smoking, by the way.
Yeah.
And his dad comes home early, and he finds out that Drew's not in his room after his mom lies and says he's upstairs sleeping, and goes to the Pet Sematary, and all the kids scatter. This is like big party, and they've told the story of the Creeds, by the way, from the original Pet Sematary movie.
You actually see their house, too.
Right.
They drive their bikes past the front yard, and you see the mailbox that says Creed on it.
That's right, yeah. So they kind of like go over that again to kind of get you back in the spirit of it. And then Gus shows up, the police officer, all the kids scatter, and there's a tussle, like a fight. He like kicks the crap out of his stepson, like punches him.
Yeah, he punches him like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's like he's about to kill him.
Yeah,
pretty much. He's so angry.
He's gonna just destroy him.
So then, doesn't he like push him? Oh no, that's right. Zowie comes out of the forest, out of the blue, and jumps up and fucking knocks him down and bites his neck. And he was like, "Get him off me! No. Get him off me, Drew, buddy! Drew, buddy, get him off!
We're BFFs now. Get him off.
Yeah. You were just trying to kill me. I know I was trying to kill you, but can you take this thing that's gonna tear my fucking throat off?" I'm just kidding. Sorry. So, of course, Gus dies, and they're right there by the barrier, the deadfall, and they could take him up this fucking hill.
How?
I know, that's fucking huge.
Gus is like 6'5".
It would take 4 of them.
Yeah, he's like 6'5", 200 and maybe 40, 50 pounds, and these one heavyset kid and Ed Furlong, who is not a big boy,
Right.
carry him. And if they're following the path that they followed in Pet Sematary, which they showed them walk,
it's almost impossible.
it is impossible.
They're going to throw his body up every step.
Yeah, every cut quarry corner and stuff like that, and carry him over the dead. I'm like, all right.
Well, they have this conversation where they're like, what do we do? Oh, my God, we're going to get into trouble. I'm like, okay, you tell them that your dad was going to kill you and he started beating the shit out of you, and that your dog saw it happening and thought he was trying to protect you, and then bit his throat.
Yeah.
And maybe because he was nervous that he would kill his dog.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm like,
so
be truthful.
Yeah, just tell them what the fuck happened. Like, why are you fucking... I mean, but they're kids, so, there's that
the
whole...
whole drinking, the partying.
Yeah,
stuff,
they're going to go to jail
alcohol.
forever because they're murderers. I'm like,
No, you
use some
won't.
sense, dude.
Yeah.
So they get it in their heads that it's a good idea to take him up to the fucking Micmac cemetery and bury him. And sure enough, he comes back.
Which is what I have a problem with.
And man, is he kind of funny, though. He's kind of funny as he's come back.
Like at the dining room table when they're eating the mashed potatoes, and he's like, yeah, and he spits it out and he starts laughing,
Right.
and they're all laughing, and all of a sudden he's like, nah, and he goes serious. And
Well, it's funny because, like, Drew has this moment where he's talking about his dad, and he's like, it's weird. He's like, I feel like we're like a real family now. I asked him if I could go hang out and spend the night at your house, and he was like, yeah.
yeah,
And I was like surprised by that, and like,
I forgot about that scene. Yeah,
and he was like talking about how he's kind of changed and everything, and it's weird because like this character is so much more cognizant. It's almost like it's more him.
yeah, it's more him. It doesn't feel like he lost who he was.
He's just a little off kilter.
Yeah, he's just a little quirky.
He's nicer for some reason.
Yeah, he's not a jerk. He's like, all right, do whatever. Yeah, I don't care.
Right.
Which, like we were talking about in the first one, they buried that guy that died in the war. He came back. He was like a raving
murderer.
Yeah, he was like just running around like breaking shit. And,
but he had been dead for a long while.
Yeah,
He got flown over from a war.
Well, that's the thing too. How long had the cat been dead when they buried it in the first one?
Well, I mean, obviously hours matter. So if it was like minutes, like it was minutes.
It was minutes, but you also got to think they drug his ass up there. That's got to be a long time.
They just allude to the fact that it's the soonest someone's dying nearest the pet cemetery.
Okay.
Because in the first one, the mom dies, and she'd been dead for hours.
Yeah.
Till he finds out.
Yeah, that's true.
And then this is the soonest. So he's a little more cognizant, but there's some really genuinely kind of funny moments that he has in this that I did enjoy.
He was a fun character.
I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah. He wasn't.
Oh, he was also in John Dies at the End.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. He was in John Dies at the End. He was the guy, one of the other ghost catchers.
Oh, okay.
Some of the trivia on this is interesting. There's a really good quality work print that's kind of out there now that you can watch with all the like gore scenes intact. A lot of the graphic violence, including one of the more graphic ones with the drill bit, and I totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think I've ever seen that version.
See this, I'm pretty sure this is my first time watching this.
You've never seen the second one?
I've never seen the second one.
Okay.
Because I was watching it, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember this. So.
Well, the movie this time was not made in Maine. It was made in Peachtree, Georgia.
Okay.
So they kind of changed it around a bit. That might have been the bad juju.
It's not in Maine.
Jason McGuire, who was Drew, was super shy when he made this movie. He'd really never done that much up until this point. He did a little bit here and there.
Okay.
I guess him and Edward Furlong met and became like best friends.
Oh, okay. So
like
that
in
helps.
real life, like he like kind of showed him the ropes and was like, "Oh, don't worry, you're gonna be good at this. If I can do it, you can do it." And like they became really good friends.
That's cool.
So it was like and then they got married. No,
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, good for them. I'm proud. Is this after Edward Furlong's drug?
Right. Anthony Edwards, his father, Jeff's father in the movie.
Yeah.
He actually met his wife, Janine Lobel, on the set of this film, so it's another
movie romance.
Yeah, movie romance in the set of death.
Yeah.
The end credit scenes, they actually both of these movies have used the Ramones as
I thought I recognized that.
Yeah, the last track.
Okay.
And they didn't use the Pet Sematary song like they did in the first one. And I forgot to mention this, guys, but Stephen King's a huge Ramones fan.
Yeah.
And he asked them to make a song for the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
So they like literally went over to his house and hung out with him and wrote the song in like 40 minutes.
Nice.
So apparently that's how it was, and they just did it.
Well,
So
Ramones weren't really known for their musical. Their
Well,
diverse. It's
diversity,
like
I would say, yeah.
2 chords. Go.
part of the reason that Mary Lambert wanted to do this movie, the second one, she said that, quote, I really wanted to get into the idea of what goes on in the teenage boy's head and why they do stupid things, because that's kind of the stupid thing a teenage boy would do. Louis Creed buries his son because of an intense desire, a feeling of guilt that it's his fault that the boy died, but Edward Furlong's character buries Clancy Brown in Pet Sematary because he's a teenage boy and he's stupid. For teenage boys, the blood is not going to their brain. It's going to somewhere else. Seems kind of harsh, Mary.
Yeah, just a little bit there.
I mean, you're probably right. That's a thing that they always told. I heard when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In the original script, there was a bedroom rape scene. It was written to be more graphic and longer.
Okay.
So the sex scene where the wolf head
shows up.
the wolf head has sex with Anthony Edwards because he thinks it's his ex-wife who died.
Yeah.
And it turns into a wolf head, Zowie's head.
Yeah.
Which is just weird and
it was
surreal.
Very weird.
But the boobs are great.
No, they were. They were very nice. It was a body double.
David Goyer actually did changes to the script while they were shooting.
Oh, okay.
He's not credited though.
What did he change?
Just different parts in the movie.
things
Yeah, that he thought that needed changed for the sake of it so that they can make it flow better.
Oh, okay.
There was a scene where, you remember they go to get the kittens, the leftover kittens?
Oh, yeah.
And
I was wondering why the doctor didn't go with him.
I know. He was like, oh, yeah, just head on back into the fucking
Creepy.
lab with all the medicines and things that you could steal and, just go back there. He's your small town, whatever. And then the cats have exploded in the cage because Zowie broke out.
And just destroyed them.
It destroyed it. But apparently the scene where the mom and the twin daughters going into that room to see the cats is perhaps they say it's a nod to The Shining, where a set of twins walks down a long hallway with scary results. But I don't personally think that. I think that's a long stretch.
That's reaching very, very far.
But maybe because of the twins, I don't know. It could have been a weird, clever nod. So I just thought it'd be interesting to bring up.
Yeah.
The arm that they use in the very beginning of the movie where it reaches up to grab his mom before she gets electrocuted.
Yeah, you can't hit the mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
The skeleton arms that keep coming up. Did you know that that's the skeleton arm from the pond in It?
Is it?
Yeah.
That comes out when Ben's standing outside?
The TV movie series.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Interesting, right? I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of interesting.
Might as well use it. That's really cool.
It's technically, this movie is in real time too, by the way. So the events that occur. I don't know if you noticed this at the very end of Pet Sematary 2, or not at the end, but when you find out that what's his name has dug up his mom to try to essentially bring her back. The weird thing here is, guys, and the part that's kind of interesting is Gus, the stepdad, first of all, starts going on a killing spree and killing people that he's going to add to his catalog of the Micmac Cemetery, and he buries his own. Well, one of the people that he kills is the fucking kid.
The bully.
The bully kid. He cuts his face off with a tire, basically. We don't want to talk about that yet. He buries him up there, and he also digs up the kid digs up his mom. Jeff Matthews, played by Edward Furlong, digs up the kid. Because the cemetery guy's like, I saw him drag it up on out of here, didn't he?
I thought he was talking about
Gus.
Gus, yeah.
Oh, maybe it is. I didn't catch it.
Because I think it was Gus, because he's a sheriff. So he said he didn't think anything of it.
Right.
Because it's the sheriff.
Okay. Well, Gus digs up his mom for him.
I guess so.
And, so one of the main things that they say, and they even said it in this movie, you bury your own.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that just negated everything.
Yeah, it's like an overlaying thing with the movies.
Yeah, so the dead buried the dead?
Yeah, so that's changed.
Yeah, that's like completely different. So I don't know if that just means it's darker.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe there's a difference if the dead bury the dead.
Well, in any case, the mom comes back, the actress mom, and she is perfect. Everything is fine. Her face is covered perfectly. There's no melty marks on her face or hands. She's
No
just
bloating, nothing?
Yeah, nothing. She's just perfectly fine, perfectly normal. And Edward Furlong's character, Jeff, is gleefully crazy and makes no sense. It's so dramatic, such a dramatic change. You're just like, what the fuck?
And he's wearing a tuxedo.
Right. Like,
When he
what
goes-
are you going to go on a date with your mom?
and
Like, what's going on?
Got the dress that she wore to like the Oscars or whatever.
Maybe that was what they were trying to insinuate.
But it was just weird.
It was her big night.
Yeah.
It's her big performance.
She's coming out.
Her coming back performance. Her second breakout, I guess, of the ground.
And didn't Gus bring her headstone too?
I think so. Yeah. It's
It was
in the
like
top.
I'm like, what the hell? He just brought the headstone. He brought her. He just brings everything along with him.
Well, and yeah, that shit just got all over the place.
It
Though.
was
I
so-
know we should have probably mentioned that a little bit, but we're getting into the spoiler part, so we might as well just get into it now.
We're already head first in.
Yeah, we're already there. So the reason I brought this up is because if you notice when you look at the hole where his mom was dug up, Anthony Edwards' character, Jeff's dad, goes out to the cemetery and talks to the groundskeeper, and the groundskeeper is like, oh, I saw him drag him out and everything like that. But if you look behind them, it says Creed.
Oh, does it? I didn't
So
see that.
she was buried right next to Creed.
Oh, wow.
Which makes no sense. Like, I don't know. It's so weird.
Which Creed?
The family from the first Pet Sematary.
So all of them are dead there?
Somebody is
Somebody-
like, I think the mom maybe was buried there or something.
Because they mentioned Ellie when they were at the party that she was insane, but I don't know if that was a story.
But either way, it said Creed. I just thought it was something worth pointing
It was
out.
it was probably just a little nod and said,
Right.
"Hey, Creeds, they're there."
I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but so do you have any favorite gripes or
Favorite gripes?
yeah? That's
The
kind
whole
of how it
damn
is,
movie.
right? Do you have any favorite scenes or gripes about it? The best you can.
It's gonna be difficult. I did like the scene with Gus at the dinner table.
Okay.
I thought he was actually a very fun character. When
You start to like him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Finally, it's like a breath of fresh air.
you start to like him after he dies.
Right.
He becomes a more fun character. He's got that animated kind of thing, I guess.
Sure.
He's not as, boy, do what I say, do what I do, blah, blah, blah. He's more like, hey, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of a silly, not as silly version of. Ever seen Chud 2, Bud the Chud?
Yes.
That it kind of reminds me of the guy kind of walking around. He's a walking, he's a talking. Da, da, da. Anyway, so it's just kind of a silly version.
Yeah.
What else do you got?
Go ahead and say what you like.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
I got to think about this.
Well, I love the rabbit scene where the dad's like cutting all the rabbits.
Oh, yeah, he's got them all strung up and scanned.
yeah,
and
like
stuff.
it's just like kind of dark.
Yeah.
And like he's just like there's no emotion whatsoever. It's just like, hey, putting on the pants, cutting
Yeah.
up these rabbits, and they look real. Christine was like, "Is that real?"
Yeah, it looked very real.
It kind of looked real, and I don't know if it was or not, but I was like, he twists the just how carelessly he breaks the rabbit's neck.
Yeah, just
It's
twist.
just like, and they all kind of look at each other like, Jesus.
He's hardcore.
Yeah, he's my fucking hardcore. Well, I love the part where, okay, so the bully kid, Clyde, is picking on Jeff this time again, and they're driving down the road. This is like after Gus is dead. And yeah, so they say basically Jeff is getting chased by Clyde on Clyde's motorcycle, and it's apparent that he just knocks him off the road, and then he tips his bike upside down and starts spinning the wheel with the fucking pedal. And he's like, you ever seen a nose come off?
Yeah.
He's like, neither have I, but let's find out. And then you see Gus walk up, Drew's dad, come walking up behind him, and then he's like, go home now.
Yeah.
To Edward Furlong, and he's like, I said, go home now. And then he leaves, and then the kid's like kind of making wisecracks at him, like, what are you going to do?
You can't touch me.
You can't touch me. I'm a kid, blah, blah, blah. And so Gus fucking starts revving his fucking motorcycle tire, or revving the engine, and the tire's spinning, and then he just sticks it on his face and just rips it apart.
Well, at first he was toying with them, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just fucking with you, And then the guy's scarf gets caught in the back tire.
That's right, yeah.
And pulls his face into the back of the tire.
And he starts laughing.
And he's laughing, and he stops for a bit, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and just keeps going and rips it up some more.
Yeah, I don't know.
Funny.
It's just nice to see that guy get his just desserts, right?
He was a jerk.
There was a part where Gus, another part, one of my favorite parts, is where Gus, Anthony Edwards, and him get into a tussle at Gus's house, and he's like, pulls out a drill. He's got the beat. Gus has got the jump on fucking Anthony Edwards' character, Jeff's dad, essentially, and he's like holding a drill close to his head, and he's like, "No brain, no pain."
Yeah.
He's like, "Think about it."
Think about it.
He's like, so then the dad actually ends up killing Gus, and he shoots him in the head, doesn't he?
He shoots him like under the chin.
Right, yeah. Then he goes outside, and then he's like, thinks about it for a second.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. I should go back and make sure he's dead. So he goes back in and shoots him 3 more times. And I kind of thought that was funny.
He turns around and walks right back in, and you just hear the gunshots. It's just like bang, bang, bang. And then he comes back out. He's like, all right, that's good.
I mean, if you guys liked the first one, I mean, this one's, it's sort of canon, not really.
Not really, no.
It's like, you know, if somebody had an idea and it didn't go real well, I wouldn't give this thing high marks, but I would definitely watch it again if I ever watch Pet Sematary again in the future here.
Just to do the back-to-back thing.
Yeah, I always do that. Like, it's hard for me not to watch an entire series.
There was another scene that kind of bothered me.
Okay.
Is when the mom and the son are being chased by Gus in the truck, and they're driving away in the station wagon.
Oh,
They have no emotions on their face, and she is driving like she's on a Sunday drive. She's just like driving down the road, and he's barreling on, and he pulls up next to him, and they're just looking at him. And they're like, "What do you want?" And there's like no emotion. I would have been like freaking out, like, "Oh my God, what the hell do you want? You're trying to run us off the road."
Right.
And they're just like, do.
We never did get to see them, huh?
No, they
Because
died.
he buried them, right?
No, they died. They got crushed by that potato truck.
That's what I'm saying. Like, didn't he take them to go get buried? Because he uses all the body bags.
Did he use all the body bags?
I got the
impressive.
It almost seemed like they insinuated the fact that he was going to go back and
he's
get
just burying everybody
he can to get them on board with the demons or something.
Yeah, they never showed him coming back from them. They showed the last thing you see is her leg hanging out and the blood running down it, and then he drives off and then crushes the potatoes.
That's right, yeah.
So you really don't see anything from that.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I like this movie a whole lot, but if you want to see more for some reason and you're just interested, I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not a horrible movie. I've seen so much worse.
Yeah.
It's just not in line with the first one. I don't know. I'm a little bit more forgiving. Like Kyle from the Laughing Horror Podcast was telling me, he's like, you know, you've changed a lot over the years. You're more open to movies nowadays than I think you were before. And I was like, yeah, I think I am. And I was like, wait, what the fuck are you trying to say, dude? Like, you're trying to say that I just don't like, or I like everything?
You're like, no, I'm just very particular, and I'm starting to open my mind, and not everything is crap. And
no, I just try to look at it a perspective for other people that may love it. It's like, I'm not trying to shit on it and say that it's bad. It's just, I try to like give you an idea, the listener, whoever's listening to us, an idea of whether or not they may want to look at it or not, because I really don't value my opinion as high. So I'm just like, I try to put it into a way that people who might hear certain things that I say, formulate their own opinion.
They might get an interest in it and might be
right.
Like, oh, hey, that actually sounds cool.
Right, because ultimately, just because I don't like something doesn't mean that everyone's not going to like everything. Like, that's not the goal here, is to, like, get a whole bunch of group of fucking people that are like, yeah, Alex is the man, fuck you, you don't know what you're talking about. It's more about helping people find a movie that they like.
Yeah, it might be,
in my opinion.
Yeah, that's like, well, I'm going to go back and listen to older podcasts because you've talked about a lot of movies that I've never even heard of that maybe I'll like it and be like, oh, hey. I do have one more thing, though.
Go ahead.
Okay, so at the end of the movie, when the dad and the son are driving off,
okay,
they show the little circles with the people that died kind of like an homage to all the people, and it shows them they're like laughing and stuff. And it was at the end, they're driving off, and it's a top shot, like panning away from the road and stuff. And then there's a voiceover, and it's talking about death and all that stuff. And it just pops up the pictures of people that have died, and I'm just like, are we supposed to like remember these people? And
Oh yeah, no, I do remember that. When you say pictures, I thought you were like
photographs.
I know what you mean. It was just like moments in the movie.
Yeah, and it shows the guys and he's laughing and stuff.
Yeah, that's like a very TV movie thing to do.
Yeah, I was like, it reminded me of American Graffiti.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was just like, what is this? Am I supposed to like remember these people and be like, oh, I remember the good times we had with these people. Remember when Joe like died? And
remember when Gus was like breaking that rabbit's neck?
Yeah.
I mean, God, what a silly guy Gus was, huh?
What a great summer.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think we've talked on about this a lot. I know this is a little bit longer than normal, but you know. But what do you guys think of these two movies? Have you seen both of them? Do you like both of them? Do you hate one of them? Do you love the second one over the first one? Shit, I don't know. Like, what do you think of these movies? Personally, my favorite is number one. It's got the best. It's not the best movie.
No.
But it's a damn good movie. It's for a Stephen King movie. We've had quite a few turds.
Oh, God.
That have been adaptations of Stephen King. So this one's actually, I think, in the top 5 for
really
Stephen King adaptation movies. And he's got a lot. So
yeah.
Anyway, guys, we appreciate you stopping by today on Thursday for our episode. If you haven't already, please do check out the Monday's episode. We will be returning on Monday for a brand new episode for you guys. If you haven't already, you can always go check out our horror shots or any of our stuff at longlivethevoid.com. But as a word of warning, if you are going to be out in the middle of the country, perhaps Maine, and your cat or dog get hit by a truck
or a loved one
or killed by a loved one or step parent, don't bury it beyond the barrier. It's not a good idea. Bad things will happen, and the spirits will cause your loved ones to die and get picked off one by one. So whatever you do, don't bury in the Micmac Cemetery, all right? But anyway, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Josh, thanks for coming on, man.
Anytime. I'm loving it.
We'll see you guys next time.
You have been listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in